Have you ever noticed how a single word from someone you love can flip your entire mood? A sigh, a sarcastic tone, or a careless phrase. Suddenly, it feels like your peace has been stolen. Relationships are beautiful, but they're also the sharpest mirrors we face, reflecting not just love, but also the insecurities we carry. What if you could step into a place where these small triggers no longer control you, where your sense of calm isn't at the mercy of someone else's words or moods? That's what this episode is about, learning how to stay truly unbothered, even when they push your buttons. Why do the smallest things sometimes hit you the hardest? A simple word, a tiny gesture, and suddenly you feel as if the floor beneath you has shifted. It's not really about that one word. It's about the weight it carries, the echo of old experiences hidden inside you. When your partner makes a comment that feels sharper than it should, what's really happening is that past wounds are being touched, almost like pressing on a bruise you forgot was there. The sting you feel is not always about the present. It's about the history of all the moments where you felt overlooked, criticized, or not enough. And so a small moment today becomes amplified by the shadow of yesterday. Think about it. How many times have you reacted more strongly than the situation deserved, only to look back later and wonder why it affected you so much? That's the power of unresolved pain. Relationships, by their very nature, bring these hidden places to light. Your partner's words become a mirror, not of who you are now, but of the fears and insecurities you still carry. This is why small conflicts can feel so overwhelming. They awaken the child inside you who still wants acceptance, or the young adult who once felt unworthy, or the part of you that was silenced when you wanted to speak. The present moment is never just the present. It's layered with the past, unless you learn to see it clearly. The first step to breaking free is awareness. Instead of rushing into defense or anger, pause and ask yourself, why did this affect me so deeply? The answer often lies beneath the surface. Maybe their tone reminds you of a parent's criticism, or their silence echoes the rejection you once felt from someone else. Once you see the pattern, the power shifts. You begin to realize it's not the words alone that hurt, it's the memory attached to them. And if you can name that memory, if you can trace the thread back to its source, then you can stop giving the present moment the burden of carrying your past. This is not about blaming yourself. It's about reclaiming your strength. Triggers are not weaknesses. They are signals pointing you toward healing. When you recognize that the intensity of your reaction comes not only from today, but from the weight of yesterday, you unlock the chance to respond differently. You stop being ruled by invisible scripts and start choosing your own narrative. That's how you begin the journey of staying unbothered. Not by denying your feelings, but by understanding them so deeply that they no longer control you. The mind is a storyteller, and often not a very kind one. When your partner says something small, your brain doesn't just hear the words, it starts filling in the blanks. It takes a short phrase and stretches it into a whole story, adding meaning that was never spoken. They said this, so they must mean that. If they're annoyed, maybe they don't love me as much. These are not facts, they're mental patterns, stories stitched together by your insecurities and fears. The truth is, what you heard and what they meant may be two completely different things. Yet your mind, craving certainty, rushes to close the gap. This is the mental trap. Our brains hate uncertainty. They would rather invent a painful story than sit in not knowing. That's why, when your partner's words feel sharp, you often jump to the harshest conclusion, because it's easier to assume rejection than to live in the ambiguity of waiting for clarity. But when you live inside those invented stories, You are no longer relating to your partner. You are relating to your fears, to the voice in your head that whispers worst-case scenarios. So how do you break this cycle? By slowing down and questioning the story before it becomes your reality. When you catch yourself spiraling into assumptions, pause and ask, is this what they actually said, or is this what I'm adding to it? That single question can interrupt the automatic loop and give you space to choose a different path. Maybe instead of assuming, you get curious. Instead of accusing, you ask. And in that small shift, something powerful happens. You step out of the trap of your mind and into the truth of the moment. Because here's the secret. 9 times out of 10, the story you told yourself is far darker than what's actually happening. Your partner may be stressed, distracted, tired, living their own inner storm that has nothing to do with you. If you let your mind's narrative control you, you end up carrying burdens that aren't even yours to carry. But if you challenge the pattern, if you learn to separate fact from assumption, then you protect your peace. You give yourself permission to stay calm, to stay open, and to respond with clarity instead of fear. That's how you free yourself from the mental trap, not by silencing your thoughts, but by refusing to believe every story they tell. One of the quickest ways to lose your peace in a relationship is by jumping to conclusions. It's almost automatic. The moment something feels off, your mind rushes to fill in the silence with answers. But the problem is, those answers are rarely grounded in truth. They're grounded in fear. You hear your partner's short tone and immediately think, they're upset with me. They forget to call back, and your mind whispers, I must not matter to them. Without realizing it, you're living inside assumptions, and those assumptions quietly poison the connection. But what if you chose curiosity over assumption? Instead of saying, you always ignore me, what if you paused and asked, hey, is something on your mind? That small shift changes everything. It opens a door instead of slamming it shut. Because when you assume, you're not just misinterpreting, you're also accusing. And accusation builds walls. Curiosity, on the other hand, builds bridges. Here's something worth remembering. Most of the time, their reaction is about them, not about you. Maybe they had a long day. Maybe they're dealing with stress you don't see. Maybe their silence has nothing to do with your worth. But if you take everything personally, you carry burdens that don't belong to you. And in carrying them, you lose the calm that could have kept the relationship steady. The discipline here is simple but powerful. Pause before you decide what something means. Ask yourself, what else could this mean? That question cracks open the door to perspective. Suddenly, the short tone doesn't automatically translate to anger. It could mean exhaustion. The missed call doesn't automatically mean neglect. It could mean distraction. You start to realize that reality is often softer than the harsh story your mind first tells you. And when you live from that space, you stop reacting to shadows and start responding to truth. You stop letting your imagination run wild and start meeting your partner where they are. That's how you protect your peace. That's how you stay unbothered, not by controlling their behavior, but by mastering your own interpretations. Boundaries aren't just something you set with other people. They're something you build inside yourself. In relationships, it's easy to absorb every word, every mood, every sigh from your partner as if it defines you. Without realizing it, you let their emotions spill into your space, and suddenly your peace is no longer yours. It's at the mercy of their ups and downs. But inner boundaries are the invisible lines that protect you from this. They allow you to care deeply without being consumed, to love fully without losing yourself. Think of it this way. Not everything said to you belongs to you. Some words are a reflection of your partner's stress, fatigue, or frustrations that have nothing to do with your worth. Yet, if you don't have boundaries, those words sink in like arrows. Inner boundaries act like a filter. They let love, support, and truth enter, but they stop negativity and projection at the door. You can listen without absorbing, you can empathize without drowning, and you can stay steady even when emotions around you rise and fall. One simple practice is to repeat to yourself, "Their mood is not my mood. Their storm is not my storm." This mantra reminds you of a crucial truth. You do not have to carry what isn't yours. When you hear criticism or negativity, ask yourself, is this about me or is this about them? That moment of discernment is everything. It prevents you from taking ownership of pain that doesn't belong to you, and it gives you back the freedom to respond with clarity instead of defensiveness. Of course, boundaries don't mean walls. You're not shutting your partner out or refusing to listen. You're simply refusing to let their passing emotions become your permanent state. Love thrives when two people can remain whole, not when they merge into one endless cycle of shared anxiety. By building inner boundaries, you become a source of calm, not chaos. And in turn, you give the relationship a stronger foundation, because peace is contagious. The more you protect your inner world, the more your presence becomes a safe space for both of you. So remember, the strongest relationships aren't built by erasing yourself. They're built by knowing where you end and the other begins. That's how you protect your peace without losing your love. That's how you stay unbothered, no matter how hard the waves crash around you. The difference between peace and regret often comes down to a single pause. Most conflicts in relationships don't escalate because of what was said. They escalate because of how quickly we reacted. A sharp tone triggers a sharp reply. Emotions pile on emotions, and before you know it, you're both tangled in a storm neither of you intended to create. The pause is the antidote. It is the space that protects your dignity, your clarity, and your connection. Imagine this. Your partner says something that stings. Instead of firing back, you inhale slowly, count to 5, and let the wave of your first emotion pass. In that small window, you give your brain time to shift from raw reaction to thoughtful response. Science shows that emotions surge like waves. They rise fast, but they also fall if you give them space. The pause is that space. It's the difference between being a prisoner of your impulses and being the master of your choices. And here's the beauty. The pause is not weakness, it's strength. Anyone can lash out in the heat of the moment. That takes no discipline. But it takes real power to hold your tongue, to breathe, and to let your words be chosen instead of spilled. Think of how many regrets you carry from the things you said too quickly, how many moments you wish you could take back. Rarely do we regret waiting to respond. Almost always, we regret reacting too soon. The pause doesn't mean silence forever. It means silence for just long enough to find yourself again. In those 5 seconds, you remind yourself of your values: calm over chaos, clarity over confusion, love over ego. And when you do speak, your words carry weight because they are grounded, not thrown. Your partner feels the difference too. They sense your steadiness, and it invites them to calm down as well. Mastering the pause is like building a shield around your peace. It's a habit, a discipline, a conscious act of self-respect. And the more you practice it, the stronger it becomes. In time, you'll find that the pause not only saves you from unnecessary arguments, it transforms the very atmosphere of your relationship. Because where there is space, there is room for understanding, and where there is understanding, love has a chance to grow. When emotions run high, the temptation is to speak in fire, to say, "you always," or "you never," as if painting the other person into a corner will make them finally understand you. But here's the truth. Blame rarely brings understanding. It usually builds defense. If you want to be heard, if you want your partner to truly listen, then your words must carry calm clarity instead of sharp accusation. There's a simple shift that changes everything. Replace "you" with "I." Instead of saying, "you don't care about me," you might say, "I felt hurt when you didn't check in." Instead of, "you always dismiss me," try, "I feel unseen when I share something important and it gets brushed aside." The difference may sound small, but it's powerful. One approach points a finger outward, the other opens a window inward. When you share your experience without blame, you invite connection instead of conflict. Timing matters too. Speaking your truth in the heat of the moment, when both of you are fueled by adrenaline, often guarantees a clash. But if you wait until the storm passes, your words arrive softer, steadier, more likely to land where they should. Calm doesn't mean suppressing, it means choosing the right moment, so your message has the best chance of being received. Clarity is not about rehearsed speeches or perfect phrasing. It's about being honest without hostility. Imagine your tone as a mirror. If it's calm, your partner is more likely to mirror that calm back. If it's sharp, they will mirror the sharpness. When you speak with clarity, you guide the energy of the conversation. You create a space where listening feels safe. And here's the paradox. Calm clarity doesn't just help your partner, it strengthens you. Each time you choose it, you prove to yourself that your emotions don't control you. You control them. That steadiness builds confidence. It makes you magnetic. It transforms the way you see yourself and the way your partner sees you. So remember, it's not about silencing your truth. It's about delivering it in a way that allows it to be heard. Speak not to win an argument, but to win understanding. That's how you turn moments of tension into moments of growth. That's how you speak with calm clarity, even when your buttons are pushed. Detachment in love is often misunderstood. People hear the word and imagine coldness, distance, or shutting someone out. But healthy detachment isn't about building walls. It's about protecting your peace while still remaining open to love. It's the ability to step back emotionally without stepping away physically, to give yourself enough space so you don't drown in someone else's moods or storms. Think of it like standing beside a river instead of being swept away by it. Your partner may be caught in their own current, stress from work, frustration, or a passing irritation. If you have no detachment, you jump into the river with them, thrashing in their emotions as if they are your own. But if you practice healthy detachment, you can remain on the shore, present, supportive, but steady. You see their struggle without losing your balance. You care without collapsing. This kind of detachment makes your presence stronger, not weaker, because when you refuse to be pulled into every emotional wave, you show your partner a model of calm. You prove that love doesn't have to equal chaos. That connection doesn't mean carrying each other's storms. And strangely enough, this steadiness often deepens intimacy. Why? Because your partner begins to trust that you won't shatter at every conflict. They feel safe around your composure. They see that you can love without losing yourself. A practical way to practice this is to silently remind yourself in tense moments, "This is theirs, not mine." That thought creates just enough space to breathe. It doesn't mean you ignore them or dismiss what they're feeling. It means you acknowledge their struggle while keeping your own emotional center intact. You detach from the chaos, but you don't disconnect from the person. In time, this balance becomes magnetic. Your partner starts to realize that your calm isn't indifference. It's strength. It's the assurance that you can remain present in love without being swallowed whole. And that balance, more than anything, builds respect. Because staying unbothered isn't about shutting people out. It's about staying grounded enough to remain open, no matter what storms come. No matter how much wisdom you gather, there will be moments when something still gets under your skin. You'll slip, react too quickly, or carry your partner's mood longer than you wanted. That's part of being human. The key isn't perfection, it's learning how to reset. Because the faster you can return to balance, the less damage small triggers will have on your peace and your relationship. This is where your reset routine becomes essential. A simple but powerful way to reset is journaling. When something bothers you, instead of letting it spiral endlessly in your head, write it down. Put the situation, your emotions, and even the story you told yourself onto paper. What you'll often notice is that the act of writing brings perspective. What felt overwhelming in your mind starts to shrink in size when you see it with your eyes. Sometimes the very thing that felt unbearable turns into a pattern you can now recognize and address. Breathing is another reset tool that can change everything. Just 1 or 2 minutes of slow, intentional breathing. Inhale through your nose, hold for a second, exhale through your mouth. Can reset your nervous system. It signals to your body that you are safe, that you don't need to stay in fight or flight mode. When your body calms, your mind follows. This small ritual can mean the difference between carrying tension into the rest of your day or releasing it before it controls you. And then there's self-compassion, the most underrated part of the reset. Too often when we stumble, we add another layer of pain by criticizing ourselves. Why did I react like that? I should know better by now. But healing doesn't grow from shame. It grows from kindness. Telling yourself, "It's okay, I'm learning, I'll do better next time," allows you to move forward without being weighed down by guilt. The reset isn't just about calming your emotions, it's about forgiving yourself for being human. Over time, the reset routine becomes like a muscle. The more you practice it, the faster you bounce back. Instead of staying stuck in frustration for hours or days, you learn to release it in minutes. And when you return to your partner from a place of calm instead of resentment, the entire dynamic shifts. You show them that mistakes don't have to define the relationship, and that peace is something you're willing to fight for, not by arguing, but by choosing balance again and again. Triggers don't appear out of nowhere, they follow patterns. If you look closely at the moments that upset you most in your relationship, you'll often notice they repeat themselves. Maybe it's when your partner interrupts you, when they forget small promises, or when they raise their voice. At first, these moments feel random, but in truth, they form a map of your sensitivities. And once you see the map, you're no longer wandering blind. You begin to understand the territory of your own emotions. The danger of not noticing patterns is that every trigger feels like a new storm. Each time it happens, you're surprised, hurt, thrown off balance. But when you identify them, you strip them of their power. You start to recognize, this is the same feeling I get whenever I feel dismissed, or this is the same reaction I have whenever I feel ignored. That awareness is everything, because you can't master what you refuse to see. A practical way to uncover these patterns is to write down 2 or 3 situations that consistently upset you. Don't just note what your partner did, note what you felt, and what story your mind created in response. You may begin to notice that the real trigger isn't the forgotten call, but the deeper story of "I'm not important," or that the real pain isn't the raised voice, but the memory it awakens of past criticism. By shining light on these repeating themes, you stop being a prisoner of them. And here's the empowering part. Once you spot the pattern, you can prepare for it. You can build strategies in advance. If you know that being interrupted is a trigger, you can practice calmly saying, "Please, let me finish." If you know silence is your weakness, you can remind yourself, their quiet is not rejection. It may just be reflection. Suddenly, what once felt like an ambush becomes a situation you're equipped to handle. This doesn't just protect your peace, it strengthens your relationship, because instead of reacting blindly, you begin to communicate with intention. You explain your triggers with clarity. You invite your partner to understand them, and together you create a healthier rhythm. And as your awareness grows, the triggers lose their grip. They go from controlling you to teaching you, from being invisible chains to becoming stepping stones toward growth. Resilience isn't built in the middle of conflict. It's built in the quiet, ordinary moments of daily life. If you want to stay unbothered when challenges arise in your relationship, you have to strengthen yourself every single day, the same way an athlete trains before the big game. Peace is a muscle, and like any muscle, it grows when you train it consistently. Mindfulness is one of the simplest, yet most powerful practices for building resilience. Just 10 minutes of sitting quietly, observing your thoughts without judgment, can sharpen your awareness. You start to see how your mind wanders, how it clings to worries or irritations, and how quickly it tells stories. This awareness carries into your relationship. When your partner says something triggering, you catch your reaction before it explodes. You notice the emotion rising, and instead of drowning in it, you let it pass like a cloud across the sky. Physical activity also plays a critical role. Stress is not just mental, it lives in the body. When you carry unspoken frustration, it doesn't disappear, it settles into your muscles, your posture, your breathing. By moving your body, whether it's running, lifting weights, yoga, or even a daily walk, you give that stress a healthy outlet. Exercise teaches your body how to release, and in doing so, it teaches your mind to let go too. A calm body makes for a calmer heart. And then there's gratitude. It might sound simple, even cliché, but gratitude is one of the strongest shields against being easily bothered. When you train yourself to see what's good, what's steady, what's beautiful, even in small ways, you stop magnifying the negatives. A small annoyance doesn't grow into a monster when your mind is already grounded in appreciation. Gratitude shifts the lens. It takes you out of lack and puts you into abundance. Instead of, "Why did they say that?" you begin to think, "I'm grateful for the love we share, even when we stumble." Resilience is not built in grand moments. It's woven into the fabric of your days. It's in the choice to meditate when you'd rather scroll, to move your body when you'd rather sit, to list your blessings when your mind wants to dwell on complaints. Each of these choices strengthens you quietly, so that when life tests you, you don't break, you bend, you breathe, you stay steady. And in relationships, that steadiness is everything. It makes you the calm in the storm, the anchor in the tide, the partner who doesn't just survive love, but makes it stronger. There is something undeniably magnetic about a person who stays calm when others would lose control. Emotional stability isn't just good for your peace, it transforms the way your partner sees you. When you are steady, When you don't get pulled into every emotional storm, you radiate a quiet strength that draws people in. Calmness becomes its own form of attraction. Think about it. Trust grows in the presence of steadiness. If your partner knows that you won't explode at every disagreement, that you won't let small frustrations spiral into big wars, they begin to feel safe with you. And safety in love is irresistible. It creates an environment where vulnerability can exist, where honesty can flow, because both of you know that the relationship won't collapse under pressure. This doesn't mean being passive or pretending things don't bother you. It means you show that even in conflict, you remain composed. Your calmness doesn't dismiss the problem, it frames it. Instead of yelling, you explain. Instead of accusing, you clarify. Instead of withdrawing, you stay present. And this consistency communicates a powerful message. You can rely on me, even when it's hard. Over time, calmness reshapes the dynamic of the relationship. Arguments that once burned like wildfires turn into conversations that actually lead somewhere. Your partner may even begin to mirror your steadiness, because calm has a way of spreading. Just as anxiety is contagious, so is peace. When you refuse to escalate, you make escalation unnecessary. And here's the deeper truth. When you master calm, you elevate yourself. You stop needing control over every situation because you've mastered control over yourself. That kind of presence doesn't just attract your partner, it attracts respect, admiration, and love. People are drawn to stability in a world that feels chaotic. They want to be around someone who can weather storms without losing their center. So, when you practice calm, you're not only protecting your own heart, you're shaping the relationship in a way that makes both of you stronger. Calm isn't boring. Calm is powerful. Calm is attractive. And in love, it might just be the thing that keeps everything steady when emotions want to pull you apart. The real test of staying unbothered isn't in the small disagreements. It's in the big conflicts, the moments when emotions run high and the stakes feel heavy. These are the times when it's easiest to lose your ground, to let anger, pride, or fear take over. But it's also in these moments that your strength matters most. Because staying calm in the middle of a storm doesn't mean you stay silent. It means you stay steady. When conflict escalates, the temptation is to fight fire with fire. They raise their voice, so you raise yours. They throw accusations, so you defend yourself with sharper ones. Before long, both of you are trying to win instead of trying to understand. But the truth is, no one really wins when dignity is lost. Respect is not earned by who shouts the loudest. It's earned by who stays composed when it would have been easier to lose control. Groundedness doesn't mean weakness. It means you stand firm without needing to be aggressive. You can say, "I don't agree," without rage. You can express hurt without hostility. You can hold your boundaries with clarity instead of cruelty. This balance, strength without shouting, firmness without fury, is what turns conflict into growth rather than destruction. A helpful reminder in these moments is, my goal is not to win this fight, it's to protect this connection. That mindset shifts the energy entirely. You're no longer fighting against your partner, you're fighting for the relationship, for respect, for love. And when you approach conflict this way, you create the possibility for resolution, not just release. Your partner may not always meet you in that calm space right away. They may still yell, accuse, or withdraw. But your composure sets the tone. It signals that you won't be dragged into chaos, and that stability is possible even in hard times. Over time, this steadiness teaches them that arguments don't have to destroy the bond. They can actually strengthen it if handled with dignity. So when big conflicts come, and they will, let calm be your anchor. Speak clearly, stand firmly, but do it with respect. Because peace doesn't mean avoiding conflict, it means navigating it without losing yourself. And when you stay grounded in those moments, you don't just win the argument, you win respect, trust, and the kind of love that can survive anything. At the heart of every relationship, there will always be triggers, misunderstandings, and moments that test your patience. You cannot control what your partner says, how they react, or the storms that life brings into your shared space. But you can control yourself. You can choose not to hand over your peace so easily. You can choose to pause, to breathe, to stay grounded in your own strength. Being unbothered does not mean being cold or detached. It means learning to love without losing yourself. It means holding your boundaries without building walls. It means speaking with clarity, not anger, and choosing curiosity over assumption. It means resetting when you stumble, spotting your patterns, and training resilience every single day. When you live this way, your calm becomes a shield, your steadiness becomes a gift, and your presence becomes magnetic. The truth is, the greatest power you will ever have in love is the power over your own state of mind. When you stop letting little things steal your peace, when you refuse to let every word or mood dictate your happiness, you become free. And in that freedom, love is no longer about fear or control. It's about respect, safety, and trust. So as you step away from this episode, ask yourself, will I let myself be tossed around by every wave, or will I learn to be the anchor? The choice is always yours. Stay calm, stay steady, and remember, peace is not something they can give you. It is something only you can build. And when you hold on to it, no one can take it away.